All right, this is the people of the state of Michigan versus Katherine Elizabeth Shadick, case number 254712 SD. Ms. Shadick appears in the courtroom, as is Ms. Lawrence and Ms. Bismack. Mr. Hartel appears by Zoom. We're here. We tried to take a plea back on the 23rd. However, we didn't quite get through that, so we set it for a hearing. Mr. Hartel, are we still having a hearing, or are we going to attempt another plea?
Yes, Your Honor. After regrouping with my clients, I don't believe we have a factual basis for the 13th. But if the court wanted to do a more summarized hearing just for that date, I do believe we reached a factual basis before, but I trust the court's discretion. Thank you.
Well, that's not up to the court. I guess that's up to Ms. Lawrence as to what she wants to do about that date, whether or not we want to have the hearing regarding the 13th, or
I would prefer to have a hearing regarding the 13th.
all right. Now, I realize the weather is probably what is keeping Mr. Hartel at home today. Mr. Hartel, are you all right with moving forward by Zoom for the hearing?
Yes, Your Honor. After discussing with my client, we are prepared, and I believe she does consent to that as well.
All right. Is that true, Ms. Shadick?
Yes, sir.
All right. If at any point you need to talk with Mr. Hartel, let us know, and we will make that happen for you. All right. Ms. Lawrence, your first witness.
Before I start, Your Honor, does the court just want me to address the 13th allegations?
We might as well do all of it,
All of
just
it?
so we're clear.
Okay. People would call Melissa Bismack.
All right. Ms. Bismack, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may have a seat. Mr. Hartel, are you able to hear all right?
I am, Your Honor. I was just pushing audio to be polite to the court.
Okay, thank you. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you. Will you please state your name for the record?
Melissa Bismack.
And what is your occupation?
I am the 84th District Court Probation Officer.
That's here in Wexford County?
Yes.
Okay. And are you supervising Katherine Shadick?
Yes, I am.
You recognize her in the courtroom today?
Yes, she's sitting at the table in oranges.
Your Honor, may the record reflects the witness has identified Ms. Shadick.
Any objection to that, Mr. Hartel?
No objection.
It shall so reflect.
So as you said, Ms. Shadick is on probation with you, correct?
Yes, correct.
And is part of the terms of her probation that she cannot consume alcohol.
That is correct.
Okay. And when did she first get signed up for testing?
She was sentenced on the 10th of December. Our devices were not working properly, so we had EBTs for a couple of days. On 12/12, we received devices. We had her come in and get enrolled on that date. So on that date, when she enrolled, her first test, she blew at 9:15 a.m. She was a 0.016. And her second test at 9:35 was a 0.013. I had her come back in and we performed an ETG, which is a urine screen for alcohol, and that also was positive.
Okay. Did Ms. Shadick say anything to you when the test came back positive on the 12th?
She did admit to consuming alcohol the night before.
Okay. So she said she consumed alcohol on the 11th
Yes.
of December. I apologize. You said you had her take the ETG test as well on that date, right?
Yes.
And that came back positive as well.
Yes.
Did she take any more tests after testing positive on the 12th?
On the 12th, she did. She took one at 11:29 a.m. and that one was zeros. I instructed her to hold off and wait before she performed any more tests because she would continue to test positive. We already had an admission and an ETG. I just told her to wait and then take the next one later and she would be clear.
Okay. And then did she test on December 12th that night at all?
Yes, at 9:47 PM, her testing results were zeros.
Okay. So essentially, she admitted to drinking on the 11th, was testing positive the morning of the 12th,
Yes.
and then was testing negative the night of the 12th.
Correct.
Okay. And then the following day, December 13th, was she ordered to test at all?
Yes, her test time that she tested was 6:52 AM, and that was zeros.
What was the next time she was ordered to test?
The next time she tested at 9:47 PM, and she was at 0.033
And that was PM, right?
PM.
Okay. So she did not test at all on the 13th from 7 AM until almost 10 o'clock at night.
Correct.
And then did she test again after that test?
Yes, since she had the positive result, it prompts her to test every 15 minutes. So at 10:07 PM, she was a 0.030. At 10:25 PM, she was a 0.026. At 10:40, it would have prompted her to test, but she did not take that one. At 10:56 PM, she was a 0.018. And at 11:11 PM and 11:41 PM, she would have been prompted to test, but she did not take those.
Why does it prompt her to test within 15 minutes after she first tested positive?
Because the device picked up alcohol,
Okay.
so it prompts them to retest. And then if it was environmental or food or anything that set the device off, she would have been zeros at the second retest.
Okay. So essentially, she, for some time, continued to do the 15-minute retest and was continuing to test positive.
Correct, and she was descending, the percentage of the amount of alcohol that was showing up was decreasing every time she tested.
Then so you said she missed her last two tests on December 13th, correct?
Yes, at 11:11 and 11:41 PM.
When did she next test?
She tested at 6:48 AM on the 14th, and she was zeros.
Did she end up coming in for an ETG on the 14th?
Yes, she appeared at 7:21 AM on the 14th, and the testing result was
Very faint positive, essentially, is what that means.
I did not perform the test.
Okay.
The test was given by Clean Corrections. Very faint to me would be almost a positive.
Okay. I know you may have already answered this, but I just want to clarify a little bit. She had been testing positive the morning of December 12th. Correct?
Yes.
And then she had been testing negative the morning of the 13th. Correct? And then several hours later, after not testing, she was again testing positive the night of December 13th.
Yes.
And just one more time, is testing positive for alcohol on these devices considered a violation of probation?
It is.
Don't believe I have any further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Hartel, do you have any questions for Ms. Bismack?
Just a few. Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Miss Bismack, if I understand correctly, my client only admitted to consumption of alcohol on the 11th. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And she didn't admit to any consumption on any other dates other than that, right?
She did not give an answer for the 13th, no.
Okay. Those were the only questions I had. Thank you.
Ms. Lawrence?
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Bismack, you just stated that she did not give an answer. What do you mean by that?
When asked if she did consume alcohol, she did not answer my question.
And was that when she came in for the ETG?
That is when she came in. Yes. No, excuse me, she came in on the 18th. Because the 14th was on a Saturday, Sunday,
So you asked her that on the 18th.
on the 18th, yes.
Now, I realize it's not part of today's hearing, but I just for clarification purposes, she tested positive on an ETG on the 11th, correct?
She tested positive on the 12th was for ETG. The 11th was when she admitted to consuming alcohol.
So the violation that she acknowledged on the 12th, that didn't come before us, she just did the acknowledgement.
Correct. She signed acknowledgement for consuming alcohol on the 11th
Okay,
and testing positive on the 12th.
but the positive test that she acknowledged on the 12th is not part of this violation that we're here for today, correct?
Correct.
So when she tested the 12th, where the first test was at 9:15 at a 0.016. Is that different than that ETG that she was already violated for on the, that she acknowledged the 12th?
That was on the same morning.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out if we're dealing with the same event or not.
She came in to be enrolled on the 12th. And when she blew into the device, it registered positive. So I had her do an ETG to confirm, and that was positive.
So allegation number one for what we're here for today, that she tested positive for alcohol on the 12th at a 0.016 and a result on sober length with a positive ETG. Is that arising out of her use on the 11th
Yes,
that she's already been violated for?
she had, yes, that would have been violation number 1.
Okay. Mr. Artel, are you able to see and hear me all right?
Yes, I apologize, Your Honor. I had a temporary power outage on my end.
No, that's fine. I'm not sure at what point we lost you.
Yes, Your Honor. I believe you were confirming whether or not the ETG was different than the violation for the other testing positive.
So what it boiled down to is that the prior violation that she acknowledged on the 12th for drinking alcohol on the 11th is the same allegation that's number one in this for what she's here for today. So instead of 3 violations, it's really 2.
Thank you.
Ms. Lawrence, does that raise any additional questions from you?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Hartel, do you have any additional questions from Ms. Bismack based on what you've heard and what we summarized?
No, I do not. Thank you.
May this witness step down?
Yes, sir.
Any additional proofs?
No, Your Honor.
Any proofs, Mr. Hartel?
After conferring with my client, we do not wish to submit any proofs. No, Your Honor.
Argument, Ms. Lawrence?
Your Honor. I think it's clear by Ms. Bismack's testimony that the defendant was testing positive on December 12th, as well as December 13th for alcohol. Although Ms. Shadick only admits to drinking on December 11th and no other day, clearly the testing says otherwise. I will say she is not the first defendant, and I'm sure she will not be the last defendant to claim that she did not consume intoxicants and yet is magically testing positive. It's pretty clear that she, as Ms. Bismack testified, she was testing positive on the morning of December 12th, although very low. Eventually, she was testing negative the night of December 12th. And then again was testing negative the morning of December 13th. And then from 7 a.m. until almost 10 p.m. on the 13th, she did not test at all. And then eventually when she did test around 10 p.m. on the 13th, she was back to being positive again. I think clearly that shows she was most likely drinking during that time, that she was not testing, and it was leaving her system throughout the night on the 13th, which you can see by the test, it is slowly decreasing the more she tests. This is pretty disappointing to the people. I don't think she even lasted a day after being sentenced before she was drinking again. I would ask the court to find her guilty of these violations, as well as follow the probation recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Hartel?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. After conferring with my client, I know she gave some testimony before. If she chose not to this time, I respect that. What I will say is we're not contesting the fact that she did consume on the 11th. So it's not like she's completely denying consumption, saying it was all just some big misunderstanding. I don't know why it would appear in some tests and not others. But what I will say is she definitely admitted to it on the 11th, and she's been wanting to resolve this for some time. I'll reserve any allocution for sentencing until after there's a finding, if there's a finding. But she has asked me to pass some stuff along at that point when appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Any rebuttal, Ms. Lawrence?
No, Your Honor.
All right, well, the court does find, based on the testimony today, that the defendant is in violation of her probation. She was ordered not to consume alcohol, and by her own admission, she had consumed on the 11th. That was backed up by the positive ETG and a SoberLink reading, or at least a PBT reading of 0.016 on the 12th. Then on the 13th, after having negative blows from 11:29 the day before until the evening of about 9:47, she begins to blow positive on the next day. Then her subsequent blows drop, and then there's not a test. Then she tests again at 10:56, and she's a 0.018, and then there's no tests. And then at 6:48 on the 14th, she's testing negative again, blowing zeros. So the court does find that based on the evidence presented today, that the defendant was in violation of her bond for testing, for consuming alcohol and testing positive on both the 12th and the 13th. That brings us to sentencing. Have all the parties received the amended probation recommendation in this case?
Yes.
As a we, yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Bismack, is that still your recommendation?
Your Honor, the only correction would be if there are two technicals, then it would be 10 days jail and 15.
Okay. Any allocution, Mr. Hartel?
Yes, Your Honor. I do believe she has pretty close to that for time served already because this has been going on a little bit longer. I know court wasn't available on Friday. Not that we would have necessarily gone back on the record. That was just a possibility. What I will say is my client has expressed a strong desire in sobriety. She knows she had a slip. Her factual basis might be slightly different than the finding, but we respect the finding. She's advised me she is interested in intensive outpatient treatment. She'd prefer not to do inpatient treatment. I realized that was part of the recommendation from the probation department, but she believes that she still desires all of that help, all of those benefits, but while not being inpatient. If the court were willing to give her that opportunity, I do believe the extra supervision would help her quite a bit. She's aware she had violations on bond before she was sentenced. She's aware this is a reoccurring thing and she does want the opportunity to do better. She would just ask for the opportunity to do that betterment from home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lawrence.
Your Honor. As I said before, I would ask the court to follow the probation recommendation. Especially, I don't think outpatient treatment would be good for this defendant. I would ask the court to impose inpatient treatment. As I said before, she didn't even last 24 hours after being sentenced before she was consuming alcohol already. I think there is a serious problem here with this defendant, especially the bottom little paragraph here on the probation recommendation, that they believe that residential is needed in this case and that she does not have the tools to keep up with sobriety on her own without doing inpatient treatment. So I would ask the court to follow that recommendation.
Thank you. Ms. Shadick, you do have the right to address the court prior to sentencing. Is there anything you'd like me to know?
No, sir.
So if I recall correctly, you were going to get the shot before leaving jail, right? What happened there?
I did receive it. They told me this is gonna take about a month or two for the full effect. And my next dose would be on the 10th of January.
So what happened? I mean, you were in jail because of bond violations and then got out and consumed right away. So why? What happened there?
I'm just not thinking clearly, I guess. Not sure what I was thinking and made a very stupid mistake.
So how do you think you can do this on your own without residential?
I know it's something I can do. I did start going to AA. My therapist. I was going to do go to Dharma, get a recovery coach, find a sponsor, continue up with the shots.
Have you done treatment before?
Yes.
How long ago was that?
I was back in March of this year.
Was that inpatient or outpatient?
Inpatient.
I'm trying to remember, how long were you inpatient?
I was there for just over 30 days.
So why don't you want inpatient again?
For one, it was really expensive. It's hard for us to afford. And I will go back. Just didn't know if it was for me or
What do you mean by that?
I don't know, just felt weird. my first time going though, but
Well, I think it's clear that you need it. I don't think, this is me talking, I'm not you, but I don't see how you can go to rehab, relapse, get a drunk driving, violate bond, get released. The day after you're released, you consume alcohol, and then you test positive after that, and still think that you can do this on your own without patient. I guess I need that explained to me. How does that work?
it sounds weird, but I know I can do this. I know I'm stronger than this. I know, I realize, and I know I've messed up several times. And I've gone years without drinking before. Not playing the sorry story. I'm looking for a job right now. It'll also help me a lot.
How long have you been looking for employment?
Since August.
Are you doing AA in the jail at all?
Yes.
Anything else you'd like me to know?
No, sir.
I am going to continue the defendant's probation. However, I'm going to modify it as follows. I'm going to order 30 days jail. Credit for, it's 11 on the PV. Now, I realize the 30 is outside of the step requirements that I'm allowed to do. However, there is a provision in the statute that if I think for your own safety, you need to be incarcerated longer, I can do that. And that's what I'm doing with the provision, though, that immediate release to inpatient treatment. I don't think you can do it on your own. And I'm not saying that to be mean, but I think it's more severe than what you potentially realize. So immediate release to treatment. Under the following conditions. That you shall be released from jail on a personal recognizance bond to attend residential substance abuse treatment when all arrangements have been made and the district court probation office notifies the jail of the date and time for release. The district court probation office shall pre-approve arrangements and supervise the defendant's release from jail to residential substance abuse treatment. Before release from jail, the defendant must sign a release of information for the district court probation and their own attorney. If the defendant leaves prior to completion of the recommended treatment, they shall return to jail to serve the balance of the sentence ordered. However, if the defendant successfully completes treatment, you may remain out of jail on your current probation terms. Also, upon planned or actual departure from the treatment facility for any reason, you and or the facility shall notify the district court probation office immediately and the defendant's attorney if necessary. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Lawrence?
No.
Mr. Hartzell?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. And we are adjourned.